Welcome to Entry Point Faith, where every week we discover fresh meaning in the world so you can find faith your way. And now, please welcome your host, Pastor Nancy Lafferty.
A doctor who was known for extraordinary treatment of arthritis had a waiting room full of people when an older woman, almost bent over in half, shuffled in slowly, leaning on her cane. When her turn came, she went into the doctor's office and amazingly emerged within 5 minutes, walking straight and tall, with her head held high. A woman in the waiting room who had seen all of this rushed up to the lady and said, "It's a miracle. You walked in, bent in half, and now you're standing tall. What did that doctor do?" "Gave me a longer cane." Today, we investigate miracles. Are they real? Do they still happen now? Or just in Bible times? Who performs them? And how can I get one? We use the word miracle today pretty frequently when we finally find a parking place in a crowded lot, or when the Hail Mary shot or pass or kick wins the game. But what exactly is a miracle? And do we deserve them? According to a recent study, nearly 80% of Americans still believe in miracles. And that's a lot greater percentage of Americans who believe in a traditional concept of God. Miracle comes from the Latin word mirari, which means wonder. Miracles evoke wonder in us, a sudden surprise of the soul, as René Descartes stated. Miracles are a part of every faith tradition and culture, East and West, from Hinduism to Native American. And common storylines include walking on water, healing the sick, and multiplying inanimate objects. In the Bible and in the Christian tradition, a miracle is an extraordinary and astonishing happening that is attributed to the presence and action of an ultimate or divine power. In the Bible, Jesus performed 7 miraculous signs that characterize his ministry, from changing water into wine to raising Lazarus from the dead. The most popular known miracles are the feeding of 5,000 people with just a few fish and loaves of bread, and the time that Jesus healed a blind man. Let's talk about that incredible meal for a moment. Jesus and his disciples started off with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. That was all they had. Jesus blessed these items and gave them to the disciples, who were told to then go feed the people on the hillside. And these disciples suddenly had multiple baskets full of fish and loaves of bread, enough to feed 100 groups of 50 people, according to the Gospel of Luke. Pretty incredible. Definitely a miracle. As for the blind man, this account is found in the book of John, the Gospel of John. According to this story, Jesus saw a man who had been blind since birth. His disciples asked him whose fault it was that he was born blind. And Jesus said, basically, it's nobody's fault. And then Jesus said, "But I am the light of the world." And so then he bent down and he spat on the ground, and he mixed his saliva with the dirt, and it created a muddy paste. And Jesus placed that paste over the man's eyes. And then Jesus told the guy to go wash in the pool of Siloam. And he did. He went and washed and came home seeing, the Bible reports. Miracles come in many forms, and God performs them for a variety of purposes. Sometimes miracles heal. Sometimes they comfort or physically protect us. Often, though, miracles do not prevent suffering or tragedy at all. Sometimes miracles increase our faith, or strengthen our character, or accomplish good. Are we allowed to ask God for a miracle? Sure. We all need help with really big challenges on occasion. In the book of Job, we read this advice. If I were you, I'd appeal to God. I'd state my case before the Most High. The works of God are great, beyond reckoning, miracles that cannot be counted. Many miracles are not individually wrapped or intended for just one person. The sun rising and setting each day is a miracle. Small seeds grow into mighty trees. Our body parts work together in a miraculous way as we move through our lives. We dream, we run, we eat, all miracles, especially the running part. That really is a miracle. Inspired advances in medicine and technology and our ability to communicate around the world are all absolute miracles that benefit many people. So yes, I believe miracles happen today. I also think that we sometimes confuse coincidences and miracles. But I will also boldly proclaim this. What if every... Start that over. But I will also boldly proclaim this. What if every coincidence is in itself a miracle? We have all experienced unusual moments of coincidence, running into a former friend, thinking about a person, and then seeing that person in the grocery store. We have all experienced coincidences in timing that have been life-altering. Every single Sunday, the band loads in, the singers come in, I come dragging in, and the music rehearsal for the day begins. Sometimes it sounds great. Often it doesn't. Every single Sunday, there's a miracle. God takes the talent and the commitment of our team, and miraculously, it all comes together. The same thing happens in theater. 1 or 2 days before the show opens, the director can't sleep. The actors are forgetting their lines. They are missing entrances, and the set isn't even finished. And then theater people say, the theater gods will swoop in and give us a miracle. Somehow it happens. The set gets finished, the lines get learned, there are no more missed entrances, and the magic of the story on stage unfolds for all to see in a miraculous, beautiful way. Miracles happen every single day, all day long. A glass of water is a miracle. A ray of sunshine, a leaf, a caterpillar, a flower, laughter, raindrops. Often, though, we don't see the miracles at all. A man was putting a tin roof on his barn when he suddenly slipped and began to slide down the roof. He cried out to God to save him. And just as the words came out of his mouth, a nail caught his pants and stopped him from falling off the roof. He breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Never mind, God, I took care of it." Here are a few suggestions to help us become more open to the miracles all around us. First of all, we need to stay connected. The connections that we have with people will facilitate a mystery or a miracle in our lives. As columnist Ella Price wrote, "Being open to making new friendships gives you a bigger circle of people to allow God to work through." So, talk to the cashier at the checkout counter. Engage in conversation at Starbucks or the BMV. Tell some of my jokes to people at the grocery store. You never know what it might lead to. You might make a bunch of new friends. Secondly, we need to forget about outcomes, results. The more we think things should be a certain way, the more disappointed we will be if things don't work out the way we expect them to. Imagine that you've been invited to a dinner party. Someone has said, "Come on over, I'm going to make steak." And when you get there, you discover that the host decided instead to serve meatloaf. You'd probably be disappointed. Now, meatloaf is great, but it's not steak. Now imagine that same dinner invitation, except this time the host didn't tell you what they were serving. Even if you don't like meatloaf, you would still be touched instead of disappointed that she made something from scratch just for you. It's the same with life. We need to stop putting so much focus on outcomes and just enjoy life for the miracle it is. Number 3, we need to keep our eyes open. Once we can reduce our expectations, we are free to see clearly the miracles happening right in front of us. We need to keep our eyes and our hearts open to receiving them. Take a walk in nature. Laugh really hard at a good joke. Enjoy the beauty in the sunset and the fact that we are alive. There are thousands of everyday miracles that we take for granted. The miracle of someone loving us, someone forgiving us, someone giving us grace or compassion. We experience a miracle when someone sets aside their needs and considers ours. Miracles in everyday life take place in the kitchen, during a car ride, even at our job site. How can we become better at seeing these everyday miracles? I think it happens when we live in gratitude. How can we do that? We need to keep a running list in the back of our minds about the goodness in our lives. We need to sharpen that inner voice that quietly reminds us of how blessed we are. If we were each to place our problems in a basket and set it by the door as we entered a room, after speaking to everyone else and hearing about their challenges, we would pick up our own basket on the way out of that room. Things could always be worse. There is always a blessing to be found even in troubling circumstances. Finally, we need to be the miracle sometimes. Sometimes we need to be someone's miracle, to brighten someone's day with a smile or by holding the door open. We need to spread some cheer and wonder in the world. I'm pretty sure that after we do that, wonders come right back to us as a result. Miracles give us hope, inspire us to be better, and remind us to pay attention. They are a universal language that we can all understand, and a language that connects us to each other and to God. Amen.
Thanks for joining us this week on Entry Point Faith. The Entry Point Faith community meets every other Sunday at Conner Prairie in Fishers, Indiana. For more information or to join in person, visit entrypointonline.org. Entry Point Faith is a part of the Switchpoint Media Network. Find a variety of podcasts by visiting switchpoint.media.